Freedom Guy 55 here again. I just saw Larry Crowne in the theater, and the thing is, right off the bat, I just have to say I really loved it. I thought it was a beautifully constructed film. But first of all, let me go into this. I've only seen 3 directing credits by Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, now at least. I've only seen 2 others mainly. Okay, but this is the 3rd directing credit I've actually seen Tom Hanks do. Because Tom Hanks directed Larry Crowne. Anyway, I've only seen 3 of them. He's done stuff for TV, basically on HBO. He's done Band of Brothers, one of the episodes in the miniseries, and he did one for Here to the Moon, one for that miniseries, and I hadn't seen those. But and he's done 2 movies for the theater. But 2 movies now for the theater. He only did 1 other. And also he has done another TV series. He did another TV series on HBO as well for his directing credit. Actually, his first directing credit that he actually has, that's the one I've actually seen, and it was actually a Showtime. It was on not Showtime. I'm sorry, HBO. It was on HBO, and it was a TV series called Tales from the Crypt. Basically, Tales from the Crypt was this HBO series that was like a horror anthology, and it was it took its name and the stories from a 1950s comic, a horror comic that was banned mainly, and the people who wound up reading them wound up making a TV series on HBO called Tales from the Crypt. Well, the thing is that it had so many. The Tales from the Crypt had so many different cameos and such like that from different actors and such. I mean, and also the actors wound up having a tendency to direct as well. Michael J. Fox even directed one, and so did Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks actually directed one of the TV shows called None But the Lonely Heart, with, I believe, Treat Williams, the villain in The Phantom, the guy who played Xander Drax, the villain in the movie The Phantom with Billy Zane and such, which is a good movie. You should see that. But anyway, the thing is that he directed that, and that was his first directing credit, and he even had a kind of bit part in it too, where he wound up killing himself off, which is funny. But anyway, that was the first time I actually saw a Tom Hanks, a thing that Tom Hanks directed, and it was also his first directing credit. The thing is that it's kind of funny because he started off as an actor in a horror movie as well called He Knows You're Alone. So I find it funny that he starts off in horror as being a director, as well as also starting off as being an actor in a horror movie as well. So he kind of started in horror first, which is really weird in both ways. But anyway, his first directing for feature film was That Thing You Do. And I saw that film, and I actually really did love it. I thought that it was really well directed, and I do have to give him credit for that. This is his second feature film movie, which is Larry Crowne. It's about this guy who winds up getting like a manager for like some sort of U-Mart, or it's kind of like one of those superstores or supermarkets or whatever that we have today. And he winds up getting fired basically for downsizing and such. And he really has no way to pay off his debts and such like that. But he winds up taking the money that he has and enrolling in a few courses in college, and then he winds up winding up meeting different interesting characters, as well as also falling in love with one of his teachers. So it's actually a good movie. It seems very original for its concept. Well, and I really did love this film. I thought it was actually much better than That Thing You Do. Basically because I think that in this movie there's actually a lot more memorable scenes. And everybody in this movie does a good job. They really do have this particular purpose and such, and it's really wonderful. The problem with the movie is that nothing really has a tendency to stand out. And that seems to be his problem. I mean, everything seems to be so equally distributed in the movie that really nothing has a tendency to really stand out at anything, acting or anything like that. I mean, when you kind of look at like Forrest Gump and then you look at Larry Crowne, you kind of go in Forrest Gump, When you kind of look at like, say, Castaway, the guy in Castaway, you're wanting to go for the guy in Castaway than Larry Crowne. It just seems plain, is what it is. Nothing really has a tendency to stand out too much, and that's really the big flaw of this film. It's too equally distributed. Nothing kind of just has you kind of remembering a particular type of character. You just love them all, and for their acting. The acting is really solid and really well done. It's just that nothing seems to be too memorable, too original, or anything like that. And this is the problem that he had for That Thing You Do, where it was still the whole thing was so equally distributed that nothing really had a tendency to stand too much out. But the problem is that the problem is that with That Thing You Do, there was not really much anything memorable, even scenes. The scenes were really kind of rushed all together in That Thing You Do. The only thing that was really memorable in That Thing You Do was the song. That's it. And you could just play it and play it. But, and then you get tired of it. But in Larry Crowne, there's actually much more memorable scenes where the characters interact with each other, and it just seems really fun, and it really does work, and it seems fun, and it seems funny, and it's really very lighthearted, and I really loved it. But the biggest flaw is that it just doesn't become too memorable. But everything else really does work, though. Everything else really does. I can't stress it anymore. It is a wonderfully, beautifully constructed film. I mean, it's good for a directing credit. It's good for a directing credit. And it's good for a screenplay credit. I mean, I think the directing and screenplay are really very good. It's just, everything else just seems to be so plain and never really sticking out. And the one thing that's actually so interesting is that it's really, really lighthearted as well, which kind of almost detracted a little bit away from reality, just a teeny bit. But as far as anything else, I really did enjoy the film, and I liked it, and I give it thumbs up. I give it pretty much 3.5 stars. And I do recommend you seeing this movie. Will I own it on DVD? That's kind of debatable. I mean, I probably wouldn't own it right away, but I would actually kind of pick it up maybe later on, like if it be worth like $15 or maybe $10, and such like that. Because, in a sense, it is good for your a kind of movie collection. I just don't know if I think it's worth the like the $20 or so. But I do recommend it. I do really want you to see this movie. Anyway, I guess that's it. And I thank you for your time, man. Have a nice day.